Happy belated New Year and welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your shadowy host, Dom, and in this episode we'll be talking about my personal top horror films from the past year, 2024. Then we take a look forward to my most anticipated horror films upcoming in 2025. Then we end off with a review of one of the best films, not just from horror, but I'd say of the whole year 2024. This past year has been very tumultuous. A lot of different things have gone on from the start of the year to the end of the year, but it was a banger of a year for horror. I can't wait to get into my favorites, and the next year should carry over from the last, and hopefully we'll be talking about all the great films that came out in 2025 and 2026 this time next year. Finally, this past December, we received a remake of F.W. Murnau's 1922 gothic horror film from writer and director Robert Eggers. So let's say goodbye to 2024 and hello to 2025. Before we get into everything, guys, I just wanted to kind of give you guys some updates on everything. I know it's been a while since I posted anything, since I've brought out a new episode, and this will be the new one, the newest and latest one for a little bit. I think I had mentioned this before, but I wanted to take some time to get everything upgraded and updated. I'm getting a new computer system, maybe a new monitor, maybe a little bit later, not right away. Plus, I wanted to just take some time to, kind of step back a little bit, get everything organized, get things ready for the next year, make sure I have a better strategy for how I want to get these reviews out, get more diverse reviews, maybe start interviewing some people, maybe start posting more to YouTube, especially with upcoming, the whole thing with TikTok. I wanted to start posting more on there. I wanted to start doing lives on TikTok, but with, it potentially being banned and everyone having scattered to different places, different apps, different communities, going everywhere. I just want to let you guys know I'm still going to be on Threads. I like Threads. I think I know it's not, I know it's still under Meta. It's not the best to go to, but I do like it for now. I might try Blue Sky, so if you want to go on there, I'm probably add it to there. Once we know for sure if TikTok's going to be banned or not, I'll update everything and take it off of all my link tree and everything. If it doesn't, then hopefully we can start. I'll let you know with an update episode again. But I am going to try and do more YouTube stuff. We do have stuff for YouTube that I'm getting ready to do. So hopefully there's that for you guys. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I have things in all my ducks in a row, make sure everything's ready to go, so then I won't have a lot of these long periods where I don't have anything, and then I have some things, and then I don't have things, and it's just a mess. And when it premieres is off too. I've been trying to do Fridays and Saturdays, Sundays maybe at the latest, but I've been trying to keep it to every Friday. But sometimes that doesn't happen, especially when I start getting busy like I was these past few weeks during the holidays, because unfortunately with my job, I do work the holidays, so it kind of sucks. I don't get Christmas off, I don't get Thanksgiving off, I don't get New Year's Day off, so to me it's a little bit harder to make sure I get everything right and ready. I could be spending time to prepare it, but I gotta spend what time off I have, getting other things ready, getting things planned out, and then other things have come up with my family. And so I needed to make sure that was taken care of, and that took precedent over, writing another episode, getting this episode done. So hopefully a lot of that will be kind of taken care of and out of the way for next year. Hopefully I'll be able to have a few episodes, ready to go. So then, in case like a film that comes out, like the new Insidious, if that one comes out and I'm not ready for it, but I have something else that's ready, I could put that out. Just stay ahead of everything. Make sure I'm getting things going, getting things working. Just so I have more content for you guys, because I did notice that there was a lack of what I'd done in the previous year, 2023, versus what I did this year. So hopefully, we'll get some more of that. Hopefully we'll get more of maybe I'll be able to do some more of these redo episodes where I'll go over some series and kind of redo them a little bit. I'm thinking maybe like Scream, maybe VHS. I'm not sure. But you guys can always let me know. You guys can always recommend things. You send me an email. You send me a DM through Threads. We're on Instagram. For now, we're on TikTok still. We have a Discord. You can always join. But for now, guys, let's just get straight into my top films for 2024. So as I said before, 2024 has been a pretty good year for horror films. So I'm going to go through my top 17 films of 2024 horror films. Why 17? Why not, right? I didn't want to include some of the ones I've seen that weren't as good, that weren't, just right enough to be on the list. And I don't want to talk about just to pad it out to make it 20. So whatever, right? But let's just kind of jump right in to it with Salem's Lot at number 17. I had a whole lot of high hopes, especially with it being, delayed for years. It had already been made, not even just produced. It was already done back in 2022. So for 2 years, it's been sitting ready to go. I know they had a lot longer of a film, that they had them cut down. And as someone who has read the novels, and we reviewed the novel here on the podcast, it was kind of a letdown. I will say the cinematography and the overall production design is amazing. The lighting, especially, there's these shots that are just the blues and the reds, they come through so well. And I love the way that they did the light from the cross. That was awesome. There's a lot of effects too that are pretty good, but overall it just lacked what I felt the original story had. And it's coming from the book, and I just it upsets me when I'm when I've read something and you hate to do that thing where you're well, the book was better. It's it was better. I'm sorry, overall it was just a better read than it was to watch, especially when you said they were pretty good actors too. They're all pretty good. They all do a pretty good job. It's just, I don't know, I just felt something was lacking towards the end. The idea that the vampires are just in their the trunk of their cars, in the shadow of the drive-in screen. I don't know. To me, I don't know. That was a little dumb. In the book, they're all essentially inhabiting their own houses, and they have to go through each house and try and kill them one by one, which leads to some of them getting killed with, spoiler alert, booby traps and stuff. Some of them get killed that way. Not the vampires, the people who are going around killing them. yeah, it's just unfortunate that, it had potential. I wish they would have let them keep it a longer length. Maybe that would have helped. Maybe some of these deleted scenes are actually things that they needed for the film. Because sometimes that happens where an extended version just, it feels a little bit better because it has these certain scenes that make things make more sense. But I just put it at the bottom because I just had been really anticipating this film, and it was kind of a letdown. Coming in at number 16 is Azrael. It has Samara Weaving in it, and which is great. I don't think there's any talking in this film. I think everyone's silent. It's set in a weird post-apocalyptic future where the rapture happened, I think. I don't know. It was a little confusing because there are demons around and they're hunting them as people, but then hopefully I don't spoil things for people. If you're gonna be spoiled by this and you want to see it, skip ahead. But you find out in the end, the people who are in the civilization or where they're camping, they birthed the Antichrist. I don't know, and then but she was part of it the whole time. I don't know. She was trying to get the baby, and then the demons were okay. They weren't with her. They didn't want to kill her anymore. To me, it was just a little confusing. I'm not sure what was exactly going on. I don't know. It was good. It just I feel like it needed a little bit more explaining. Lucy, you'll need a little bit more explaining to do. But I mean, overall, it was still pretty good. I like the idea of it's kind of like a quiet place where they couldn't make any sounds or else the demons would get them. And there's a lot of cool things there was a lot of action that happened, especially towards the end when she just came in and just started killing everybody. But other than that, it wasn't my cup of tea. I'll say that it's fine. It's a fine film. It's just I just think it needed a little bit more explaining of what was going on. Now at number 15 is Cuckoo, which I did really like, especially the build up for it was kind of crazy. Every trailer was just building onto about something weird is happening, something crazy is happening. Dan Stevens does a great job. He's always he knows how to play a weirdo. I'll say that he's always good at playing this weird character. And Hunter Schafer, amazing. I wish she'd be in more things. I love her as an actress. She's amazing. And I love this idea of when she's trying to escape and the time whatever it is keeps that keeps them there can not really reverse, well, kind of reverse time, but it does something to them where they're repeating what they did. It can cause them to go into this weird trance. I don't know. I like it. I like the idea of the concept. It's just I don't know. There's a lot more films on here that just hit harder, gave more of what I wanted from a film. The cinematography and the just the setting was really good. I love that kind of quaint, isolated feeling that they're in these mountains in Germany somewhere where you go to the hospital or the police. Yep, well, they're closed in the middle of the night. What? Because they're not in a big city or anything. So she's gonna be standing there trying to bang on the doors, trying to get someone's attention. I don't know if that it has something weird something to do with the reason why it's called Cuckoo is the birds. What they do is they lay their eggs in other birds' nests, so they'll take care of their kids, and then they push out like the birds from like the baby birds of like those of the birds. I know I'm sounding kind of a little confusing, but I guess it's like that's what like these whatever this new like next stage of human is, I guess, and like a sister, like her half sister, I think, or her stepsister is one of them or something, and that's how they're able to get out in the end. And my 14th slot, we got The First Omen, which very surprisingly I really liked. I thought was a great film. I thought it had a great like plot. Yeah, you kind of saw it coming, but like they did it really well. I was very surprised because I didn't even want to go see this movie to begin with. My friend was just like, let's go see it, and I was like, all right. It was just gonna be one of those ones like I saw Imaginary, the one with the teddy bear. They didn't make the list. Let's just say that. But this one I was very surprised. I like that it connects straight to and pays homage to the other films. You think this one character is going to be the character you think it's going to be, but it turns out not to be. But there's just a lot about it that I liked a lot. I thought they did it really well. And it just like was like, whoa, like that's crazy that like this movie that I wasn't really excited for, wasn't even prepared to see, it was like, wow, this is a pretty good one. At number 13, we've got Immaculate, which had Sydney Sweeney as the birth mother of Jesus Christ. They were trying to rebirth Jesus Christ, like through like, I don't know, like medical science and stuff, and like embryos and stuff. It was a crazy movie. I thought it was going to be in just another, trying to birth the Antichrist or birth the demon or birth the devil. But I like this idea of like, instead, we're going to try and bring back Jesus to the world. And I don't know. I think it works really well as like being more sinister than trying to do the other stuff. And they coerce this girl into doing it. Plus, then we get to see Sydney Sweeney in a white dress, and she's in the water, and yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, it's not bad of a movie. It's pretty good. I like how she just goes through fucking hell to get like out of there, to get through this, and it's just crazy. It's not what I expected from the film. And that's why I think it works so well. But it still was like, yeah, it's a good one. I do highly recommend like any of these films. I do recommend watching them. It's just this one was just like it came out of nowhere. I had seen like a trailer for it and I was like, meh, but it really surprised me. Really did. In the 12th place, we got Heretic, and this one, I did have to struggle with where I wanted to put this one because I did like it. I thought it was really good, but overall, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, what I expected it to be. It looked like it was going to be more of like a cat and mouse kind of game where, like, he sends them into this like labyrinthine, like tunnels, and they're trying to figure their way out and this and that. And I like the examination on like religion and this and that, and like whether or not which door do you take, which it just ultimately didn't end up like mattering what door they took. It led to the same place. And then it got to be like this weird thing about like witnessing a miracle, which was kind of cool when like you were thinking, oh shit, she did come back to life, but then like you figure out that they switched the bodies or something. But then in the end, you're left wondering, like, was it a miracle that she came back to life to kill him? I don't know. And then like whether or not like is she out or not, because I think we see like the butterfly and then it's not there or something. So we're supposed to be like left like, I don't know. It was good. I think that Hugh Grant plays a good, like, like playing games with them and like being evil and stuff, being very menacing. But I think overall that's why it kind of fell back. It's kind of like some of these other ones where it's like it just didn't hit where I think it needed to hit, and that's why I had to put it right here. At 11th place, we got, and I know this is going to be very controversial for people who are fans of this series, but Terrifier 3. I am very intrigued by this series now that I've been watching it, because I hadn't seen anything until this past year, right till the end of the year, because I had seen a review of All Hallows Eve. I think I had seen a review of Terrifier, and they just didn't impress me to the point where I wanted to see them, right? But then when the second one and the third one eventually came out this year, and I had people talking about this, talking about that, talking about the mythology, talking about like how, oh, this one wasn't as good as the second one. This one, I can't wait for the fourth one, this and that. And so hearing all this discourse about, and like whether or not Art is like this new guy on the scene that we gotta include with like heavy hitters like Jason, Michael, Freddy, Chucky, maybe like Ghostface, those guys, right? Do we include him? Do we not include him? I would say maybe, just depending on like, I think he's the new kid on the block, so you should maybe bring him in. So getting into like the All Hallows Eve was not that great of a film. You could just tell it was just a bunch of short films that they tried to stitch together to make a movie. Then, he gets his own film to do, Terrifier, and Terrifier is fine. I think if maybe he had started with Terrifier 2 rather than Terrifier, I don't know. Maybe something would happen for me a little bit better. But anyways, Terrifier is fine. It's just like, okay, I think, you get a setup to what the story is going to be, kind of. At least like that massacre is like a plot point later, right? It comes back. And so does the character from that first film. The second one, I think it's longer than not just the first, but it's the third and All Hallows Eve, and is an amazing. Honestly, I think that's the best one so far. It not only advances the mythology like a lot, it gives us more of a story. It's more coherent. It's more like it knows what it wanted to do. Then we got this one, and I think it was just like, hey, where do we put Art? What if we put dressed Art up as Santa Claus, and we made it around Christmas time? And I think that was the main thing going into this film. Not enough of thinking about like, how do we expand on what we've got now? Like, how do we explain like why, her dad saw these visions? How do we explain like what the little pale girl is, or who they are, and why Art, and this and that? But it does push it forward. We learn that, the demons and the whatever other force, they need their like champions, and that's Art is one of them for like the demon side, and she's for like whatever other side. But then we're, we see this like angel maybe chaining up this like demon, and the demon's working on something. I think it was like the sword or something, and like there's like, what is that? Like then like the stuff where like Art comes back through like his head getting birthed out of what's her name, Vicky, I think. Is that her name? I don't remember. I'm blanking on her name. Anyways, yeah, it's a good. Honestly, it's a good horror film. If you like that, if you love gore and stuff, and like just taking it to the extreme, yeah, watch this. Especially for Christmas time, I think this is a pretty good Christmas film. But there's just like that. It's just like it lacked just that like something that I want more from Terrifier, and I think it's more of like it has the potential to be like this really good like series where it's about something else other than just like, oh, this clown who's going around killing people, right? It feels like it's supposed to be more about like there's these greater forces, like there's something hidden just underneath this layer of what we're seeing in the films, and that's what I want to see more of. That's what I want to see. I want more of that mythology. I want more. I like, yeah, the gore and the killings and okay, cool, yeah. But what's going on? Like, what are these things? What are they? Why are they fighting each other? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? And I know we're gonna get a fourth film, so hopefully, in that fourth film we get more to the story. Maybe it'd be like his ultimate conclusion to the story, or maybe we just get more of like what everything is going to be or whatever, right? But yeah, that's just why I think Terrifier 3 kind of gets hindered. I mean, it's really fucked up in the beginning when he like kills like the little boy, and then the dad and the mom, and then like it's implied that he kills the little girl. Very brutal, right? But beyond like the brutality and the gore and the effects, it's just like there's something else that's just like not pushing it, making it into that top 10. And speaking of top 10, at number 10 we've got Abigail. I really liked Abigail. I wasn't expecting much from it because it was just like, oh, this little girl is a vampire. Okay, cool. But then everything we got with, and I mean, it is a little bit of that like that Melissa Barrera's career kind of was almost derailed thanks to Scream 7, and that they like almost like got her blackmailed from Hollywood. And it's just ridiculous to me. And so the fact that she's able to be in this film and show that, the people she's been working with know and understand that she's actually a great actress, and they brought her back for their next film. And then also, just this idea of like, kidnapping this little girl, and then it turns out she's the one who orchestrated everything to get them to bring them all in so that she could feed on them, and they're all just like bad people in the end of it. Even Melissa Barrera a little bit, but she does convince her to like spare her. At least that's kind of what it's implied in the end. Kind of like I think she did like, because she has the kid, that's why she's like sparing her for now. But this movie was pretty good. It really surprised me. Dan Stevens again in another role where he plays it completely different from what he's been doing. Like especially with Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, he was another character in that. Like I think he needs to just work on being a character actor, because even though he looks the way he looks, like you think he should be like the leading man in the film, I think him as a character actor works out way better for him. Because if you ever seen Eurovision, he's just another character, and he's ridiculous in that film too. And I think that's why it works the best for him. Because like if he just plays like this one, he plays like this kind of more straight, oh, I'm a gangster kind of character, I worked for the PD, and like, but he's still ridiculous, because at the end when he becomes the vampire and he becomes like the main driving like villain towards the end, I think it works out really well. And I think it's just kind of sad that Angus Cloud, he died prior to this film being released, because he did a pretty good job too. Like the potential for him being a pretty good actor, being very comedic, working especially with Kevin Durand and Catherine Newton. I think they all worked so well together. I think that's why Abigail like turned out to be one of my top 10 films of the year. It was just pretty good. I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. In the 9th place, we got Alien Romulus. I was really, I mean, I was going to be happy with an Alien film anyways, especially, with the state of it being so far. I love the first film. I need to watch 2 and 3. I know it sounds weird. Like I like this franchise, but I haven't seen those ones. But Alien vs Predator was really good. The second one was kind of dumb. But Prometheus is just such a great film. I love it so much. I know a lot of people don't like it, or they have qualms about this and that. But I don't care. I loved Prometheus. I thought it was a great film when I first saw it. I have it on Blu-ray. I love it so much. Then the disappointment that was Alien Covenant came out because you guys cried about Prometheus so much that Ridley Scott was like, all right, I guess I'll just give you another Alien movie. I'll just super contain down what I was going to do with a Prometheus sequel. And then you guys bitched and complained because you wanted a Prometheus sequel. It was like, so you can't have it both ways. You can't hate the movie and then want like a sequel to it. You guys did that with Solo, and look what happened. We got all those films canceled, and then they got put into like TV, and then you hated those. I don't know. God, fandoms are stupid. But anyways, I had higher hopes that this would be better than Alien Covenant, and it was. It was surprisingly a lot better. I love the simplicity of just like going back to just, these people who are just trying to get away from, this crushing, horrible life of like this corporation that's just taking over everything, and they're trying to just find a better life for themselves, and a robot. And I love the idea of like this ship of being like, the Romulus and the Remus, and then like they're dealing with like the alien on there, and then like how it like spreads through with like that like virus or whatever it did, or it infected her. Oh no, it was the face hugger, because it implanted her, and I was like, so what is it going to do to the baby? And it causes it's messed up. In the end, it's messed up. And yeah, it was pretty good. It was a pretty good film. I can't wait to see where they're going to go with, because obviously they're going to do another one. I don't know if they're going to stick with these characters. I like the idea of it being a one-off, and then like we get into like another story. I like that we're not going back to just, how do we bring Ellen Ripley back? I'm glad that her story was done with the first 4 films. We don't need to see more of that. Whatever, right? So I'm glad it's done. Can't wait to see more of this. In the 8th place, we've got a movie that I kind of thought was going to be a little bit boring, but it turned out to be very like engaging and very like, oh yeah, I'm glad they did it this way. In a Violent Nature. I love the idea of coming at it from the point of view of the serial killer and following them through as they're walking through, and like they're completely silent the whole time, but we still get the information from the teenagers. They're older adults. They're like probably like their mid to late 20s or early 30s maybe, but you get a rich story of like, oh, there was the fire, and then like the firefighters, and then like the kid and like his mom and all that, and like how like taking the locket like brings him back, and he's just this immortal revenant, and he like puts on this like unique mask, and has unique like like killing styles and like tools to kill. Man, like I love that they just were like, there's this one shot I want to do that's going to take up all of the budget, and they just went for it. Where, man, hopefully you haven't seen it, go watch it right now. Did you watch it? All right. Well, the scene I'm talking about is where he like punches through her guts, and then like sticks the hook on her head and pulls her head through her own stomach onto the other side. Like, dang, I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. It's so crazy. God, I just like, and I love the idea of like, he like just survives underwater. Like, he doesn't have to breathe. Like, he just walks the whole length of the lake to where she is, and then when the girl's swimming, and then pulls her down and kills her. Like, it's just so crazy. And And then, like, yeah, later when the girl, the survivor, she's like, we're following her for the ending of the film, right? And, man, just her paranoia after, going through all that, and, like, every little sound, and she just keeps walking, even past Dawn. Like, she's just, like, walking away, and, like, she feels like she hasn't got away from it. And even to the point where, like, when she's picked up by the older lady, and then they find the other car or whatever, and like they stop, and she's just like, no, we got to keep going, and it's just like you can just tell how traumatized she is from there. Man, it's oh god, and Violent Nature was so good. Then we got for the 7th spot another VHS. I know VHS has come a long ways from, the olden days of VHS 2, and then VHS 3 viral was not that good, almost derailed everything. And then we got a slew of them from Shudder, like giving us, 84 or 85, and then 80, and then 94, and then 2000 or something, whatever, right? The newer the newer VHS movies, and we got VHS Beyond, and VHS Beyond. I can't wait to talk about it this year. It'll be probably one of the first ones I will review, but it's just like I was like, how else are they gonna do this? How else can you keep going with this? And they found a way. They were like, let's do more. Let's lean more into the sci-fi horror. Let's lean into more aliens and stuff. And I'm so glad they did that because, with the like weird chicken thing in the beginning or whatever, the stork. And then like, I love the one where they're in the plane, they're doing the skydiving, and it felt so real and raw when the plane just breaks apart, and then, this thing, whatever this thing is attacking them. And it's just so crazy. And then even just like the wraparound story was really good, like this time too. Like I think they need to do more of that. I think if you did more of that, where it's like it's kind of these kind of themed ones, where it kind of started with like 84, and then in the 85, 84, whatever. But like the last trilogy we got, especially with like the New Millennium one, the 2000 or 99. Sorry, it was 99, where it was moving into the New Millennium. That one, was really good. I liked that one a lot. I thought that one had a pretty good, with what's his name from the director of the Black Phone, Scott Derrickson. I don't remember, but his segment was really good. Well done. There's a lot of the segments that just like stand out from that little trilogy that I think just completely trumps everything in Viral. And it's sad to say that because in Viral has a segment from two of my favorite directors, and it just sucks because it's like it's not that bad of a segment, but it's like obviously like. I don't know, like maybe they needed more. I don't know, maybe they would have done like a longer. I don't know, whatever. We'll talk about it later. But VHS Beyond, I think just like knocked it out of the park. I think they found a way to bring it back again and keep it even more invigorating than it's been before. So can't honestly cannot wait to see what they do with the next VHS. At number 6, this one might be a little more controversial, and some people might be like, that shouldn't be on your list. But I do contend it is a horror film from just what we visually see, the way it ends, the way it makes you feel, the themes of it. Just everything about this movie is a horror film. I saw the TV Glow. I had seen trailers for this, and I thought it was going to be one thing, but then it turned out to be a whole nother story about, this person who's, it's about multiple things. It's about not being able to live the life you want to live. It's about being told you have to be this person. It's not being able to express yourself. He's obviously this, or she, the main character is obviously someone who is trans, who is told that they cannot transition, who is told that you have to be a certain way in life, you have to be this, you have to be that. If you do anything deviating different, if you like this, if you like that, ew, you're gross. That's disgusting. Why would you do that? Why would, in order to comply and assimilate and live in this world, the only people who ever let him be or let them be who they are is their mom, who dies very early, and that's not a spoiler because it's pretty early on in the film. And then their friend, who herself is a lesbian, and I think also probably non-binary, I'm pretty sure too, kind of is what I think they're implying too. But just that she's able to escape, or they're able to escape from, this world, and the metaphor of the TV show that they watch, and it's is it even a metaphor? Is it that's who they actually are? And this world that they're living in now is the trap that the person or the villain put them in. And it's just the visuals are amazing. There's so many shots that are just beautifully done with the lighting, the pink, and the creature effect. The effects are amazing, and it's such a heartbreaking movie too. It's so sad in the end when he's just sitting there, yelling, screaming because he's trapped. They're trapped in this place, this body, this world where is it even real? And it's just so sad, and how that's how a lot of people feel, even if it's it's not, even if they're trans or if they're gay or whatever, they could just feel that way just for being told by society you have to do this, you have to do that, that's how you have to be. And it's upsetting, and it's traumatizing, and it's cruel, and it's this is what most adults, I think, feel I think especially millennials, I think, go through having to feel like that, where we were told one thing for the longest time for being kids, all you have to do is you do this, 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 and this, and your life is set, because that's how they did it. That's how they did it for the past 3 decades, 4 decades, since 5 decades since we're post-war. And look at all you have to do is just make sure it's you got a wife and a children, and you got a degree, and you go to work every day, and you work hard, and you're gonna be set, and that's it. And you're gonna be promoted, and you're gonna have all these. You're set for life. And it turns out that's not how it is at all. They ruined it for everyone. And you can just kind of feel that's kind of what's also being talked about in here. It's just all these things. And I think this was just such a good film. Honestly, I highly this is the part where I'm you need to watch these movies. After this point, it's go watch it. Just go watch this one. And we're going to move right into, now we're getting to the top 5. Top 5 right here. And starting with number 5 is, and I was very just surprised that this movie just was so good, especially because I did like the second one. I thought the second one was a little bit better than the first one. A Quiet Place, day 1. I thought this would just be okay. Because we kind of saw what happened in the second one, how it started. So I thought, okay, we're just going to get a story again of how it happened again. Different point of view. Oh, don't make a noise. I thought it was going to be just more of that. But then we really got, it's just another one of just this woman who is going to die. She knows she's going to die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She has an illness that, she's in a place where that's where you go to die. That's the end of it, and then all this stuff happens, and it's just so powerful of a story because, like, now she's having to deal with like these people, other people dying who don't deserve to die, people who are still in their youth, and that's what I think with her, with giving what's his name from Stranger Things, God, I forgot. I can't remember his name, but he's Joseph Quinn. I think that's his name. He's does a great job. She sees him, and she at first is reluctant to stay with him, to be there for him, but then like in the end, when she gives him the cat, and she tells him to go, because like for her, she's already dead. She's already dying. Like that's why it's like she needs to save someone who has a chance to live their life if they can get to a better place. And it's just like, oh my God, this movie was just so good. I don't understand how they made such a good film from a sequel that is also a prequel. It was so good. And yeah, now let's just move on. And so for number 4, we got Smile 2. I'd seen the trailers for this and they look pretty good. Obviously after seeing the first one, I liked the first one a lot. I thought it was pretty good. I think, the creature effect in the end was pretty good. One of my friends, he didn't really like it. I recommended it. He was like, it was just kind of boring. It didn't really do too much. And I was like, but I don't know. From what I saw in the trailer of the original Smile, I was like, this is kind of this looks stupid. This looks dumb. Then when I watched it, I was like, man, this actually was a pretty good film. I liked it a lot. So, I was hoping that my friend would like this one a lot better, and he did. He was like, wow, this is way better than the first one. This was like everything that the first one should have done, and I was like, thank you. Like hopefully it'll like change your mind on like the first one, but I don't think it really did too much. But no, Naomi Scott, she did an amazing job. She's a great singer. She did Lemonade Mouth. She was Jasmine in the live action version of Aladdin, so she can sing. She got an amazing voice. She's beautiful, and like I love this idea of just like that this thing can trick you so hard into believing that everything you've been doing, it's just, man, I am still like, you get to the end and you're like, this whole time, even the time when she thought she was driving and stuff, like that was like not real. Like that didn't happen. None of what we saw pretty much, leading up to, that was all just this thing, feeding her the story in order to get her to a point where she could do what she did at the end. And like I said, these are must watch. If you haven't seen them, I'm spoiling them. I don't care. But just that idea of like it bringing her to the stage in order for her to kill herself in front of a whole stadium filled with people, and then being filmed and stuff, and it's just so that thing infected all those people. All those people are. That's why I'm like, I don't know where you go with this next one, because it's like, and I love that it ties into the first one so well at the very beginning in a way that's just like, it's so subtle, and you're just like, whoa, oh my God. And like, it's just so intricate and so ridiculous. God. Smile 2 was amazing. I think, just the amount of like creepiness and scary and just mind bending, and it's just like, just crazy. It was just so crazy. It was just so good. Oh, God. I love it. I highly recommend it. If you saw the first one, you really need to see this one. If you haven't seen the first one, I recommend the first one. It's a little bit slow. It kind of does the same thing where like you're not sure what's real, what's not, but like a lot of it turns out to be, she's really doing things. It's just like it's trying to trick her into doing certain things. This one though, you cannot tell until the very end what was real and what wasn't real. And I think they did just such a good job. Such a great job with that. At number 3, the third spot, I kind of put 2 films here because I couldn't really decide which one was better, which one, one feels like it should be better, but at the same time, like the other one was like, man, it just like it was like what I wanted from a film. So we'll start with Late Night with the Devil. Late Night with the Devil, just when I had heard about it, I was like, man, this just sounds so good. And it was everything I wanted it to be. I love the idea of, it being this kind of behind the scene taped thing that, they put together. I really like that, the idea of, like these were like really broadcasts and this is what everyone got to see and like no one's seen it since. And like, I think David Dastmalchian does a great job. I did a review of it after it came out. It was just so good. I loved it. I love just like this idea of like, we're gonna bring this girl on who's supposedly possessed by a demon, and then like this, you got this kind of James Randi kind of character who's there, kind of trying to prove that none of this is real and this and that, but then like even he's like getting like pulled into it, and just like it's just so good. It's just such a pretty good like idea and concept for a story. And then the other one that I put at the third spot is The Substance. And The Substance is just amazing. It was just so good. It was like this idea of kind of like, this body horror that like just, you these amazing shots, and you're able to get like Dennis Quaid as the real creep he is in real life as like this character, but like Demi Moore plays it so well. Like you can just tell she's desperate to just be like the star again. And then Margaret Qualley, she's an amazing actress and like she's been doing really well since like The Leftovers, and she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But she's done things here and there, and I think she's an amazing actress. And I think this idea of, like you want to be this youthfulness forever, but like, and then it starts coming at a cost. That cost is like, it's just like, it turns her into like an old crone. And I love in the end, she just like staples on like this cutout of her face, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, but she's like gross underneath, and it's just like this is what Hollywood does to people. This is, they throw away women when they're older and it doesn't want anything to do with them, and they'll replace them in a heartbeat. And then they try and come back, and like this is how they see her. But it's like, man, like she ruined herself just to get back to that spot of like that being of being young. And both these films were just so good. I just couldn't choose like which one I thought was deserving of number 3 more so than the other. So then I was like, I'm just gonna put them both for number 3, because The Substance has been winning awards, been pretty good. Late Night with the Devil, I think though, I know it has been, but it just scratches that itch that I love. It's got that like kookiness that I like about some like with like films like that where they it's supposed to be like something that really broadcasts, and The Substance just I came out of nowhere for me because I really hadn't heard too much about it, and going to see this I was like, okay, I know she like takes some kind of like thing to become youthful, but the way it is just it's just ridiculous and crazy, and it's so Cronenberg-esque that's what I thought at first, but I don't think he has anything to do with it. But they're both great films, great, amazing. You need to see these movies. And here again, we might have another controversial for my number 2. So number 2, I know it's not going to be everyone's. People are going to be like, "What? That should have been number 1. That should have been your favorite film for the whole year." I mean, it came out the very end, but you know what? I'm sorry. This is, and we're going to get into it later in my final thoughts on the film. It is Nosferatu from 2024 from Robert Eggers. It's such an amazing movie. Like Robert Eggers only has 4 movies, and they are banger after banger after banger. I haven't seen Northman, but I heard it's amazing. The Lighthouse was a home run. The Witch was like, man, dude, like I can't wait to see what he's gonna do next. And when I heard he was doing Nosferatu, I was already like, boing. No, but for reals though, like this movie is just, it is everything I wanted it and more. And I'm going to talk about that later in my final thoughts. So let's just move on to the number 1 spot. Osgood Perkins, Longlegs. And I know there's a lot of people out there, there's going to be another controversial one, where they hated Longlegs. They just, for them, it was just like, whoa, it's just another satanic movie. And it's like, no, it was more than that. Like, not only did this movie survive, in my mind, since it came out, but it has just been, it was so persistent, like, after. It was like Nosferatu. It just stayed in my mind over and over again. I saw it twice. I didn't know that Nicolas Cage, I knew Nicolas Cage was going to be in it at a certain point in time. I didn't know who he was going to be, what he was going to do. I thought he might be like, her, like maybe her mentor or something. Because the way that it kind of seemed from the trailer was going to be more like this kind of thriller-ish kind of film. And then we got the movie. And honestly, Jesus Christ, this movie was so fucking good. Just Nicolas Cage alone, like his acting in this, and you can tell why he won an Academy Award, right? You know he's won an Academy Award for acting, right? He just disappears into this, and he plays it just so spooky and crazy, and like it just lingers in your mind when you get just everything he does. And honestly, I feel like most of it was just like, all right, Nick, do what you can do. Because it just seems to be like, he just did things that were just like, so like weird and disturbing. Like, that's not how people interact with people. That's not how you interact with people. And it's just like, you know, everything. And I'm just like, this idea of like, you know, he lives in the basement, and then, you know, the mom made a deal with him to save her life, and that's why that one birthday is saved, and it's her birthday, and that's why he's gonna kill the little girl. And it's like, just like the fact that they're able to like control the people too, and it's just, and like it's just, you feel unease throughout the whole film. I reviewed it too, so if you want to go back and listen to that review, go ahead. But Longlegs, just to me, was the best horror film this past year. Nosferatu, I mean, it's like they're like pushing each other, and I had to settle on Longlegs because to me, yeah, Bill Skarsgård, he does a great job again as a villain. And, you know, like, Robert Eggers does a great job, but I think, there's just something about Longlegs that to me is what I want in a film, like something that's very cryptic, very, like she's got some kind of weird psychic ability, psychic link to this person is he a person? Is he a demon? Is he some other being? Is he the devil? We're not even sure about that. Like that, we're not even told who and what he is, and it's just crazy. It's just such an amazing film, and that's why I can't wait to see what Osbergen's got, because I saw. Have you ever seen the Blackcoat's Daughter? You need to see that, and you'll understand why I love Longlegs, because a lot of that too comes from there. He did that film, and it's an amazing film. It's just, and then this one, just like you said, it was the marketing, and then just everything about his character. These pieces were just put together that it's just like ridiculous to the point where it just like it stuck in my mind. That's what I think why I put it number one, is because it just stuck in my mind from seeing it that very first time till now, till even right now. I'm like, I want to watch it again. It's so good. It's just so good. And I know there's a lot of people out there who didn't like it. A large portion of people that just didn't. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I thought was gonna happen. It's like, well, I don't know. Just from the opening scene when he's like, "Oh, I forgot I'm wearing my long legs today," and it's just so creepy. Oh God, long legs are just amazing, and that's not my number one for 2024. So 2025 is here already, and I want to go through some films that are coming up, not in any particular order. I'm just going to kind of pick some out and talk about them really quick. I don't really want to do too much in depth because eventually I want to review them or talk about them later. So let's start with Wolfman, that's coming out pretty soon. It's a remake. It's from Lee Wynell. He always does a pretty good job with films. He's done like Insidious. He's done. I think he's helped with The Conjuring. He did the Saw series. He did the Invisible Man. That was pretty good. The remake. So hopefully it's pretty good. From what I've seen of the trailers, it looks more of like they get stranded in like this house, and like there's something attacking, and then the dad becomes the werewolf or the Wolfman or whatever. But if it's anything from what we saw back in Halloween Horror Nights of last year, and if it looks like that, it's going to be disappointing, because we kind of got a Wolfman at Halloween Horror Nights, and it did not look good. Looked kind of dumb. So hopefully that's pretty good. One that I'm super excited for, to kind of stay on the high of Osgood Perkins. His next film that's coming up, which is a pretty good turnaround, The Monkey, which is based off of a Stephen King short story. It's kind of like a Monkey's Paw ish film, but not really like you wish for something and something bad happens. The monkey just makes bad things happen, and it looks really good. It looks really gory. And it's just like, how do you make a little monkey with the symbols? How do you make that scary? Obviously, there's a way. Stephen King can do it. Maybe you can do it in on film. Obviously, he tried something. He's doing something. So it looks really good. So can't wait for that. One that's been surprising me that I didn't know I really wanted to see was Death of a Unicorn, which that one looks pretty good. It's got Jenna Ortega in it, and it's got a pretty good ensemble cast. But just from the trailer, like the fact that it's like, they killed this unicorn, this poor unicorn, and now like its mom or something is like after him, and it's just like on a rampage to kill everybody. It just sounds amazing. Sounds hilarious. And I did not think that like we would get, like, I'm just surprised at some of the films that were we're finally getting like some of these ones that it's like, I love that you can do this kind of crazier concept. It's not just another Scream, another Halloween, another, another, I don't know what else, remake of The Ring again, like, it's like, good. We're getting these ones that are finally a little more creative. 1, 2, which is based off of a book, actually, Clown in a Cornfield. I heard that one's supposed to be really good. I know that the book series is, I know there's like 2 books, I think it's going to be like a trilogy. I heard that like there's more to the story than just like this clown that's killing in a cornfield. I think there's more to it than just that. I can't wait for that. That's going to be pretty good. We're getting an Until Dawn film that's based off of the games, so hopefully that will be pretty good. They're probably going to use their original IPs for it, because obviously they can't just pull in Michael or Ghostface or Jason. But what would be a cool idea is like they do that, right? You do Until Dawn, and then you start like you go to these like bigger, like the people who own like them, and you start asking if you can bring them in. That would actually be pretty cool. A cool like crossover that way. Companion looks like it could be pretty good. I don't understand what the story is going to be about, but like it's the same guy who wrote and directed, not the same director, but the same guy who wrote Barbarian, Zach Krieger, and then I forgot who's directing it, but Zach Krieger's going to be producing it. So if he came up with such a unique idea for Barbarian, I can't wait to see what Companion is, because it looks like she's going to be captured by someone, but then like it looks like she's possessed or something. I have no idea. I don't know how or like what this film is going to be, but it looks pretty good. It honestly looks really good. We're getting a couple of sequels. Let me kind of just go through them. Final Destination Bloodlines. That's coming out in the next installment of Final Destination. Jurassic World Rebirth. That's coming up. Honestly, the last one wasn't that good. The last few, like after Jurassic World, they weren't that great. Fallen Kingdom was okay. I think it could have had a better ending. We're getting Insidious 6, so maybe it's going to be a continuation of what we saw. It's not going to be. There's going to be another one called Thread. That's an Insidious story that they had announced way back, I think in 2003 or maybe before that. I think I had talked about it before, but it was supposed to come out, but I think with like the writers strike and everything, kind of delayed things and pushed things around. And I think they wanted to get another Insidious with the success of the last Insidious. And then The Conjuring's got the 4th film coming out, Last Rites. And that's going to be the last one in the Conjuring series. Hopefully it is, because the 3rd one was not. The 3rd one was kind of boring. The Devil Made Me Do It. Hell House LLC is getting another one called Lineage. I think it's going to be a prequel, though, to the series. I'm not sure. I know they're trying to expand more on the characters in it. We got The Black Phone 2 coming out, and oh my god, I don't know how they're going to do a sequel to The Black Phone when like the grabber guy, Ethan Hawke, he died. Maybe he didn't die, right? Or maybe he's come back as a revenant ghost. Ooh, I don't know, but it'd be, if they bring back the 2 kids from especially the little girl. She's just an amazing actress. I think she does a great job. She did a great job in that first one, so she comes back in this one will be awesome. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Can't wait to see where they go with that, because they did change up the lore a lot. So hopefully maybe it goes back to being closer to that. I don't know, especially because the people who were so ready for Five Nights at Freddy's, and they changed it up, and it was like, and then they made them more like good guys who are just kind of misunderstood. And yeah, that what's his name? Shaggy. What's Shaggy's name? Will Fred? No. Oh, come on! Why am I blanking on his name? Well, anyways, he's a purple guy. Turns out, and he's William Afton, and he was put into the suit in the end. The Golden. No, yeah, was he put into Golden Bonnie? I don't remember, but I just can't wait to see what they're gonna do with this next one. How do you continue it? As for remakes, they're remaking I Know What You Did Last Summer. I think it's like a requel. I know Freddie Prinze Jr. and what's her name? Jennifer Love Hewitt are coming back for it. I think they're playing the same characters, but I think they're like minor characters. We're also getting a remake of The Running Man, which honestly could be pretty good. The original one, tried to show like this kind of futuristic world with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but hopefully they do a good job with this one. We've got The Bride from, who's directing that one? Maggie Gyllenhaal. I forgot that she was directing that one. It sounds pretty good. Christian Bale's going to be, I think, the monster, Frankenstein's monster, and he goes to another like professor, doctor, or whatever, whoever can make a human and makes a bride for him, and then it's kind of like a remake of The Bride of Frankenstein, but I think she's going to have a little bit more agency and more than just like the little bit of screen time that she actually has in the original film. So hopefully that one's pretty good. I love Maggie Gyllenhaal, so I don't know if she's going to be in it. It doesn't look like it. It says it's starring Christian Bale, Peter Skarsgård, Jessie Buckley, and Penelope Cruz. So hopefully it's pretty good. It sounds pretty good. And then we got Begonia. I think that one is also a remake. I know it's a Korean film originally, and it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, so it should be pretty good. I think the original film is a South Korean film, Save the Green Planet, which I've never heard of that one. So hopefully Yorgos Lanthimos surprises us, gives us something great again, maybe nominated for Best Picture again. He's had 2 so far, with The Favorite and with the Poor Things. Honestly, he should have been nominated for Killing of a Sacred Deer. I think that was my favorite one so far that he's done. It's so good. The Lobster was an amazing film also. Highly recommend anything by Yorgos Lanthimos. I highly recommend that you guys watch it. So let's see what he does with that. There's one called The Presence that's coming out that I think is from Steven Soderbergh, and it's like from the point of view of the haunting of like the ghosts or whatever's haunting the house. It's from their point of view. It sounds weird, but like from the trailers that I've seen, because I think it's Lucy Liu that's going to be in it, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty creepy. I want to know what's like more about it. Like, how do you? But it's kind of like the In a Violent Nature type of thing, where like, how do you tell a story from these people's point of view, or like the killer point of view, the ghost point of view? It's like obviously it works sometimes. So maybe we'll get something pretty good. But yeah, no, like this next year, there might be something that comes out that kind of surprises everybody here and there. Like Sinners is supposed to come out too. That's got Michael B. Jordan, where he plays twins, and I think it's supposed to do something with vampires. But maybe one of these is gonna like come out and like knock it out of the park. Maybe they're all terrible next year or this year, and we got like a bad year for horror again. But I think horror is keeping up with like becoming this more prestigious genre, and hopefully like we can get it to be like nominated for something, like for best picture. Finally, like you're finally taking like horror as an elevated, like you can take it as like cheesy, like Terrifier, and like more, ridiculous like that, or you can get something like a Nosferatu, where honestly, if it's nominated for Best Picture, I'd be ecstatic. I'd be so happy. But yeah, those are some anticipated films coming up later this year. In July 2015, it was announced that Robert Eggers, known for his distinct atmospheric filmmaking style, would write and direct a new remake of Nosferatu, one of the most iconic and influential horror films of all time. Jay Van Hoy and Lars Knudsen were slated to produce the film under the banner of Studio 8. However, as Eggers began to reflect on the project, he expressed his surprise at how quickly Nosferatu had become his second planned film, commenting, "It feels ugly and blasphemous and egomaniacal and disgusting for a filmmaker and my place to do Nosferatu next. I was really planning on waiting a while, but that's how fate shook out." In a 2019 interview with Den of Geek during the release of The Lighthouse, Eggers revealed that despite having spent years working on the Nosferatu project, he wasn't certain when or even if it would eventually come to fruition. He reflected on the long road to bringing the story into the 21st century, saying, "I spent so many years and so much time, it would be a real shame if it never happened." The 2022 film, which Eggers envisions as reimagining, continues the legacy of the original Nosferatu by F.W. Murnau and its 1978 remake by Werner Herzog. Murnau's Nosferatu was an unofficial adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula, made to avoid paying royalties to Stoker's estate. In order to sidestep copyright issues, the producers altered several key details from the novel. Characters were renamed, and while the plot retained its essence, it was given a more abstract, ethereal tone. Set in 19th century Germany, Nosferatu follows the basic structure of Dracula, but told it with a chilling, shadowy visual style that has influenced generations of filmmakers. Upon its release, the film was met with legal action from Stoker's widow, who demanded the destruction of all copies. However, some prints survived, and the film was later restored, particularly after the copyright expired from following Stoker's death. Eggers' own fascination with Nosferatu and the vampire genre dates back to his youth and was instrumental in shaping his path as a filmmaker. He often credits his interest in both Henrik Galen's screenplay for the original Nosferatu and Stoker's Dracula as key influences. As a teenager, Eggers and his high school classmate Ashley Kelly Tata adapted the Nosferatu story into a single stage play, which they performed at their school. The production garnered attention from Eduardo Lingosio, who invited them to bring the show to New York's Edwin Booth Theater. Eggers admitted, "Vampiricism and Dracula is the thing that I've been thinking about and looking at for a long time," further explaining his deep connection with the genre. He recalled reading authors like Montague Summers and immersing himself in vampire lore, but noted that it wasn't until he began his research for the Nosferatu remake that he was able to unlearn the cinematic tropes that had influenced his early perceptions. In revisiting the earliest accounts of vampirism, he was struck by how different they were from modern depictions, with creatures often strangling, suffocating, or sexually overpowering their victims instead of simply drinking blood. This shift in perspective deeply shaped the narrative and tone of Eggers' script. In crafting the character of Count Orlok, Eggers drew inspiration from the historical figure Vlad Dracula, whose name was famously adapted for Stoker's Dracula. Eggers also took creative liberties, imagining Orlok as an ancient Romanian nobleman who communicates in a reconstructed form of the Dacian language. This linguistic choice pays homage to the rich, often untold history of the region. Additionally, the film nods to Swedish director Victor, I'm probably going to butcher this, but Strom's silent classic The Phantom Carriage. and Eggers explored the themes of psychological torment and hysteria, drawing inspiration from French neurologist Jean-Martin Charcot's work and the atmospheric dread found in Andrzej, I'm probably going to butcher this one too, Złotowski's films, including The Possession and The Devil. Casting for the film had been a lengthy and evolving process. In August 2017, actress Anya Taylor-Joy was cast, though by 2020, Eggers was uncertain whether she would still be involved. Later in 2022, it was revealed that Harry Styles had briefly been attached to the role of Thomas Hutter, only to drop out, and I kind of am glad that he didn't keep going. I don't know if he'd be right for the role of Thomas. For the role of Count Orlok, Eggers initially considered some of the most respected names in cinema, including Daniel Day-Lewis and Mads Mikkelsen. For a time, Willem Dafoe, who had portrayed a version of Max Schreck, who was the actor who originally played Count Orlok in that 1922 film. In the film The Shadow of the Vampire, which came out in 2000, was in discussions for the role of Orlok. Ultimately, Eggers tapped Swedish actor Bill Skarsgård, who had originally auditioned for Thomas Hutter to play the iconic vampire. Skarsgård's casting was particularly significant, as he had long been an ideal choice in Eggers' vision for the project, which kind of, I feel like, says something about Bill Skarsgård being like, that's who you want, and you've been visioning him for the project for all this time. On September 30th, 2022, it was announced that Lily Rose Depp would replace Anya Taylor-Joy, taking on the role initially earmarked for her. A few days later, Nicholas Hoult confirmed that he had joined the cast after several rounds of negotiations to play Thomas Hutter. The project continued to grow, with Willem Dafoe returning to collaborate with Eggers following their work together on The Lighthouse. Emma Corrin joined the cast the following month, and by late February 2023, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Simon McBurney, and Ralph Ineson were confirmed as part of the ensemble. Notably, the film also features over 5,000 trained rat actors, underscoring Eggers' commitment to creating a world brimming with authentic, eerie details that capture the sinister atmosphere of his vision. So, without further ado, let's talk about Nosferatu.
Come to me. Come to me. I've never shared my secret with any soul.
You've had these spells since childhood. Tell me what you can from the beginning.
It is like a dream. It was our wedding. When we turned around, everyone was dead. The stench of their bodies was horrible. Standing before me was death. But I had never been so happy.
This creature is a force more powerful than evil. Its desire is to consume all life on Earth. Only you can redeem us. He is coming.
There is a devil in this world, and I have met him.
But you could never please me as he could.
One night, a young girl named Ellen, played by Lily Rose Depp, weeps and prays for solace for anyone or anything to ease her loneliness. Her plea is answered by a mysterious evil creature who attacks her and leaves her convulsing in a seizure. Years later, in the winter of 1838, Ellen lives in the town of Wisborg, Germany, with her husband Thomas Hutter, played by Nicholas Hoult. He's a solicitor and an estate agent. Hoping to achieve financial security, Thomas accepts a commission from his employer, Herren Knock, played by Simon McBurney, who sells Schloss, I might butcher this too, Grunwald, a decrepit stately home in Wisborg, to the reclusive and eccentric Count Orlok. Ellen becomes fearful and asks Thomas to stay with her, confessing that before their wedding, she dreamed she married Death himself, with only corpses in attendance, and found herself enjoying it. He dismisses her fears and departs for Orlok's castle in Transylvania's Carpathian Mountains, leaving her in the care of a wealthy friend, Frederick Harding, and his wife Anna, and their young daughters. They are both played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Emma Corrin, respectively. Upon arriving in Transylvania, Thomas is shunned by the local Romani peasantry for associating with Orlok. That night, he witnesses them impaling what they claim is a vampire's corpse with an iron stake. The corpse jolts in pain and vomits blood. The next morning, he finds the village has been deserted. Arriving to the castle late that evening, Thomas is greeted by the impatient and menacing Orlok, portrayed by Bill Skarsgård, who dines with him and insists on finalizing the purchase of Schloss Grunwald immediately. Orlok disregards Thomas's inquiry about the villagers and what he witnessed, and when Thomas cuts his thumb on a bread knife, Orlok mesmerizes him and drinks his blood, revealing himself to be a vampire. The next night, Orlok takes Thomas's locket, which contains a lock of Ellen's hair, and he has him sign a mysterious document written in an occult script. Haunted by nightmares, a weakened and feverish Thomas demands to return home, but Orlok insists he stay until he is no longer ill. Later, Thomas finds Orlok sleeping in his coffin and attempts to kill him with a pick, but the Count awakens and attacks Thomas, feeding on his blood and leaving him for dead. The next morning, fleeing Orlok's wolves, Thomas falls from a window into a river while escaping. He is found and nursed back to health by Orthodox nuns at a nearby church, who urge him to stay and recover, but he rushes back to Wisborg to protect Ellen. Meanwhile, Orlok sails for Wisborg with a crate of his grave dirt to sustain him and plague-infested rats, killing the ship's crew along the way. Back in Wisborg, Ellen suffers from bouts of sleepwalking and seizures, which Wilhelm Sievers, her doctor, played by Ralph Ineson, struggles to treat. As her conditions worsen, Sievers consults his mentor, Albin Eberhard von Franz, a brilliant scientist ostracized in Switzerland for his occult beliefs. He is played by Willem Dafoe. Von Franz deduces that Ellen is under the spell of the Nosferatu, a demonic, plague-bearing vampire. Friedrich remains skeptical, believing her symptoms stem from anxiety over Thomas's absence. Meanwhile, Knock is institutionalized after a gleeful rampage, and both he and Ellen prophesize Orlok's impending arrival. Sievers and von Franz realize the two are influenced by the same malevolent spirit. Searching Knock's office, they discover that Orlok is the Nosferatu. Thomas returns to Wisborg as Orlok's arrival brings the plague. Knock escapes custody, kills a porter, and escorts Orlok to Schloss Grunwald. Orlok appears to Ellen in a dream, taunting her by claiming he tricked Thomas into signing divorce papers. He warns her that she must approve the divorce within 2 nights and reaffirm the pact that she made with him that when she summoned him as a child, or he will kill Thomas and let the plague consume Wisborg. Thomas learns of Ellen's past occurrence with Orlok, and after she suffers another seizure, they have sex. Orlok witnesses them and brutally murders Anna and her children to demonstrate his power. Von Franz, from his occult research, theorizes that the Nosferatu can only truly be destroyed through the willing sacrifice of a fair maiden, and he and Alan hatch a plan to trap Orlok and keep Thomas diverted, as she chooses to sacrifice herself to save the city. Later, a grief-stricken Frederick dies of the plague while committing necrophilia with his wife's corpse. Upon finding Friedrich's body, Sievers, Thomas, and von Franz proceed to burn the family mausoleum. Von Franz rallies Thomas and Sievers to destroy Orlok's resting place at Schloss Grunwald as a distraction, whilst Alan psychically summons Orlok to her chamber. The three men unexpectedly find Connacht in Orlok's coffin and kill him. Von Franz proceeds to burn the crypt. However, Thomas realizes the expedition was a diversion and rushes back to save Ellen. She allows Orlok to feast on her blood while they have sex until sunrise, at which point the sunlight causes Orlok to shrivel up and perish, reverting to an inanimate corpse. Thomas bursts into the bedroom and holds Ellen's hand as she dies, having brought an end to Orlok and the plague. Now we come to some trivia about the film Nosferatu to learn some things about the behind the scenes, the production, and the actors. So the castle scenes were filmed in Pernstein, I don't know, I'm probably butchering that castle in the Czech Republic, which is the same location that was used for Werner Herzog's film Nosferatu the Vampire back in 1979, which I think is kind of crazy. Like, obviously, there's only so many, probably, castles around still, and that was probably the closest one that they could get, like, permission to film in. Obviously, they probably give a lot of permission to film there, given that Werner Herzog's film was shot there. But I do like I like that they went back, and even if it was on purpose, you reuse it from the 79 version, it still comes out pretty good. In an interview with Variety, director Robert Eggers explained that the design for Orlok deliberately went back to folklore, to the culture of Orlok's home region. So, to try to make a more scary vampire than we've had in quite some time, this is from Eggers, I went back to the folklore. It's something that I like anyways, but the early folk vampire was written about by people who believed that vampires existed. There was going to be some good stuff there, and the vampires of folklore is a putrid, walking undead corpse. And so the question became, what does a dead Transylvanian nobleman look like? That means that this complex Hungarian costume of very long sleeves, strange high-heeled shoes, and a furry hat. It also means a mustache. No matter what, there's no way that this guy can't have a mustache. Try to find a Transylvanian person who's of age who can grow a mustache that doesn't have a mustache. It's part of the culture. If you don't want to bother Googling, think of Vlad the Impaler. Even Bram Stoker had the sense to give Dracula a mustache in the book. Which, honestly, I was like, yeah, he's right. Like, when you look back on, like, the photos, or, like, the paint photos, God damn it, I sound like Donald Trump. When you look back at the paintings and woodcuts that they have of, like, Vlad Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler, whatever you want to call him, when you look back on these, yeah, he always has a mustache. And honestly, like, I think it works for the character. Yeah, like, if you're thinking of, like, a nobleman back then, like, yeah, they probably did have a mustache. And just, like, everything about, like, I love that he just looked, yeah, he did look like a corpse that had come back to life. And really, I think that's what, at the time, they were, like, a monster's going to take form of, like, what, people think of are, like, the scariest things that they can think of, like a reanimated corpse is one of them, a big snarling beast is one of them, like any kind of monster, things that slither, things that have many legs. Those are all things that scare people the most. And so I think, that's probably why, if you go back into this lore, like, a vampire is not going to be seductive and suave and, almost angelic. It's going to be this, like, monster that came out of the ground. But honestly, just, like, it's just, like, he got it, like, he spot on. I think the makeup effects and the prosthetics, I think they all work really well to give this very unsettling thing. In preparation for his role as Count Orlok, it was reportedly so intense that Bill Skarsgård stated that it is the one role where he ever truly terrified himself. In an interview with director Robert Eggers, Skarsgård said, "I've never been more terrified of a role and probably won't be again. The whole journey was so intense. Once you start channeling something that's not you, you feel like a vessel." After filming, he stated that he would never play a role as evil as this one again. So I guess maybe we're not getting more of Pennywise then. No, I bet Pennywise I don't think is as... I think as he's become part of the culture, pop culture from the 2017 version, I think he's gotten less scary, scary as we think about him. I think it worked pretty well for 2017 for the first time seeing him, and I think like with the 90s version, Tim Burton's obviously scared a whole generation. I think it's the same thing. I think I think Bill Skarsgård is one great actor who can really disappear into. I think he's like more of a modern Lon Chaney than a lot of people give him credit for, because anything you've seen him in, it's like, I think he's very different in every. I mean, in it playing Pennywise, he's very jovial and sinister and threatening without being threatening. And then in Barbarian, without him being a villain, him being just one of the main characters, he pulls off this very sinister design, air about him that it's like the character needed it, right? But also it's like it also was like, you're going a little too much for, you're scaring this girl by every little thing you do. But I think he was a great choice. One other thing, I know that in an interview with Robert Eggers and Willem Dafoe, they were talking about whether or not Willem Dafoe would be back for Eggers' next film. And he said, Robert Eggers said that, he's kind of found a muse in Willem Dafoe, and that he's already pitched him 2 films, and that he wants him for both films, and that he wants him for the next one. You can just tell that Willem Dafoe is just ready to go. And honestly, Willem Dafoe's rapidly becoming one of my favorite actors of all time. Like, he went from, being in Spider-Man and being the Green Goblin, and he plays that so well, that kind of Gollum-esque character where he's talking to himself, and he can play them distinctly. And I love that in the latest Spider-Man, No Way Home, he's able to channel that between, you can't tell that the Goblin that the Norman Osborn we're seeing actually isn't Norman Osborn. It's actually the Goblin. There's been Goblin the whole time, and he just plays it so well. And we see him in The Lighthouse, and he's just over the top and ridiculous, but it's funny and it's just so good. And the same thing with Poor Things. It's the same thing. He plays a very minor character, but I think the character that he plays is just he's just so ridiculous and so over the top, but he plays it so well that it's just, yes, that's what we want in a character, a character actor. And I think also Lily Rose Depp, and I'll talk about her in my final thoughts. Yeah, so just for now, we'll get on to the kill counter. Kill counter. we have arrived at the kill counter to go through the kills and deaths in the film Nosferatu. There's, I think, about 7 or 8 confirmed kills that we see. Maybe 9, but we do know that, like, I'll get into it, but we do know that there's, like, a lot of people that do die, but it's kind of off screen, and I can't really tell how many are killed. So let's just start with it. So the first deaths we actually do see is it comes from the boat when Orlok is on the boat. We do see one that's already been killed, and that body gets thrown overboard. And, you know, they're like, we got to take care of whatever's aboard the boat. And so the one guy, he goes down into the hull, and he tries to open up the box that contains Orlok's dirt. And I think his coffin's supposed to be in there too. But then Orlok comes out and attacks him and obviously kills him. Later we see that the boat has crashed, and, you know, the rats get out, and the plague scatters everywhere. So we have to assume a lot of people died from that. And obviously, if that boat crashed because there was no more crew left, obviously, so he had to have killed the whole crew. We just don't know how many were on that boat on the crew, so I'm not going to count all of them. So obviously, there's the 1, 2, and then next we see is Anna, who's played by Emma Corrin. She hears her daughter scream because a monster's gotten in the house, and she walks in on him draining their blood. So the 2 little daughters are killed, and so she gets killed as well. And that's when Friedrich, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, that's when he goes mad, and he's like, "Oh, it's all her fault because this and that, and like that's my love and this and that and whatever." And he's all mad about it, you know, saying that he's like done with everything, done with all the hysteria, you know, like it wasn't a vampire or Nosferatu, it wasn't this Count Orlok, and, you know, she's just mad. Ellen's just mad, and that Thomas is crazy for following her, and that what's his name, Willem Dafoe's character Franz he's just crazy, and, you know, Von Franz, you know, like all this is just whatever. But then the next person who dies is Frederick after breaking into the mausoleum. His wife is buried in, and his daughters, and, you know, he's got riddled with plague, and tries to, and he, I don't think tries, I think he does have sex with the body. So necrophilia, woo! But I think he succumbs to the plague. It kills him. And he's there dead with his wife. His caskets or coffin's open. And it's just like, ugh, dude, like, I know you were in love with her and you were like ready to bang her right there on like the shore at one point in front of her friend. But I think you're taking this a little too far. I'm pretty sure you could have found somebody else. Whatever. And then, you know, Herrenach, he escapes and he kills a porter at one point, and that's when he takes Orlok to Schloss Grunwald, which I think I'm mispronouncing the whole thing. That's where he sets up his base for taking over and spreading the plague and taking Ellen. And from there, after they've all discovered that Frederick is dead too, and Von Franz tells Sievers, you know, that him and Thomas, the 3 of them, all need to go to Orlok's casket or coffin and impale him, and this will end the Nosferatu's curse. And when they get there, you know, they open the coffin, and who's there? Not Orlok. It's Herrenach. Herrenach, and he's in the place of Orlok, but they still impale him and kill him, and that's when all the rats come out, and then they set it on fire, and Von Franz is like that they had a plan to defeat Orlok, and that's when we see that Ellen has summoned Orlok to her in the night, and he comes to her, and they have sex, and he drains her blood as they have sex, and just as he realizes it, the sun has come up and it's morning, and he needs to be back in his coffin. Actually, the sun doesn't kill him. It's just that it does diminish his powers, but it's that he needs to be in his coffin at sunrise before the first cock crows or whatever. You know, a rooster goes or whatever it does. You know, and since he's like so enthralled and so into what he's doing, he misses the hour and the cock crows, and he is dead, withered, and just a corpse again. But this has also caused Ellen to die as well, and so she is the last death as she lies there and holds Thomas's hand and dies, free finally from that curse that she had. And those are the kills in Nosferatu. Now it's time for the part of the podcast where I tell my final thoughts on the film. Nosferatu. I have been waiting for this film ever since it was announced, and I at first was a little like, I got to the end and I was like, so that's the end, huh? And I had to sit with it, and and then I was like, you know what? I need to see this movie again because, yes, it's an amazing movie. I don't know if I really get the ending, but, you know, whatever, right? I mean, I got it, but I just was like, man, it kind of felt a little abrupt. I saw it again, and I was like, no. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need anything more. I love that it just was like, it's like an older film. Like, this is how films used to be. They used to kind of just abruptly come to an end because that's where it naturally ended. The story just naturally, you didn't need to keep going with this or that or show more or what happened after or this and that or give a little tease here and there. It just was what it was. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. No. But I just cannot gush about this movie. The direction is amazing. Robert Eggers, you once again have knocked it out of the park. Sir, you only have 4 films, but they are 4 amazing, amazing films. And I just love the atmosphere you created. The dream-like place and outside of reality you feel when he gets to past the bridge with the little hut with the crosses, and he's at the fork in the road, and the carriage comes, and from that point on, you feel like everything's just a dream. Everything just feels so surreal inside that castle, and you just feel like, what am I watching? Am I dreaming this? Is this me in a dream? And just like, I love how they keep Orlok and Bill Skarsgård in such dim light that you can just barely make him out. You can barely make out the details in his face, yet it's somehow you could still see it, and you know it's just menacing. It's enough to just be like, am I making up part of this? Am I making up like the way he's looking? Like, is that shadow like part of his face, or is that not? And then just seeing him when he's naked too, it's just the prosthetic, the design of his body, just grotesque and bloated in parts and withered and shriveled in others. Is just so menacing and so dark. And there's parts in it too where it feels like it's black and white, and then the camera will turn, and it goes from being like this beautifully like shot black and white photo or scene, and then it turns, and then the color comes in, and it comes in so slow, and it fills it, and it makes it feel like that, like old timey, like where like they weren't really into like getting the colors correct. It was just like the color that would fill the frame. So you got like those oranges, those blues, blacks, grays, whatever it be, and it makes it feel like that old timey like feel of those old 80s, yeah, like gothic type film. Like it makes it feel more you're intruding on like the scene from the past rather than a film. And yeah, and like the direction is just stellar. Robert Eggers, amazing, knocks it out of the park. The acting, oh my god, Willem Dafoe, great as always. Can't wait for him to come back for whatever else he's got planned for him. But he plays these characters, these crazy characters, so well. And I think Nicholas Hoult did a pretty good job. Aaron Taylor Johnson is fine. God, Ralph Ineson, I'm trying to remember his name. He does a really good job too. Is Sears, but I think the one who stands out the most, who was like, I'm gonna try and get an Academy Award for this, was Lily Rose Depp. And man, she just puts on like the performance of a lifetime. So you could do anything else after this and that, you'd still be like, man, I can't overtake that. Like just her convulsing and shaking and shivering and everything, just from the spell of the Nosferatu or whatever. And it's just like, dang, she just went all out for it. She was like, I'm gonna be as physical and show you what this curse does. It causes all these seizures, and it's just amazing work. Like they all put their all into it. They were like, we're gonna bang this thing knock it out the park, because we want to give to this film, this very famous film, one that if they had messed up in any way, could have just been just like, man, like, oh, it could have been, but so good. Just like I said, this past year has been great for horror. This movie, I think, is the perfect cherry on top, and I think could go on to like be nominated for Best Picture. I think it really has a good chance. I mean, if it doesn't, you know that they really have a bias. The Academy, just straight up, they're just like, we're not going to take anything horror. We're not going to do anything with these people. Whatever. It's so good. Like from beginning to end, just everything he set up in this. You feel like you've been transported back to like those days in 18 whatever, and Werner Herzog, no, I'm joking, in wherever, Germany, and you just feel it, and like, I could just gush on and on about this movie. It's so good. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It is just amazing. It's 4.5 stars out of 5. I don't know. I forgot what I gave it. I just know that it really did deserve a 5, but I think Long Legs was the 5 that overtook this. I don't think this one necessarily was like a 5. I think this is a 4.5 out of 5. But yeah, it's just, if you have not seen this movie, I don't know why you're sitting here listening to me talk about it. If you have seen it, why haven't you watched it again? I've seen it twice. I want to see this movie again. It was so good. It's just so enthralling. Just everything. The fact that he used all these real rats to just burn down the sets, and I don't know what else he does next, and he just does it amazingly. And I want to see what like Lily Rose Depp can do next. I want to see what all these other people can do next. Like, what can we get from these people? Like, obviously he's able to pull out of them a performance that just is amazing. And God, like I said, like, man, there's just parts of this film that's just so stunning and beautiful, and the cinematography is amazing. The setting's amazing. Like, there's parts too where I'm just sitting there like, just imagine like being back then, trying to travel like that. You don't know when you got to the place till you gotten somewhere. Like he travels all that way with the horse to get to that one little village, but then when they steal his horse, he has to walk all the way to the castle, and it's like you just gotta keep walking until you get somewhere. You don't even know where you're going, if you're close or not. Robert Eggers deserves to be nominated also. I think Robert Eggers deserves to be nominated. I feel like the movie needs to be nominated. Cinematography, Willem Dafoe, and Lily Rose Depp, and Bill Skarsgård. I think they all and they all should win too. Like Dune 2 is my so far what I will hope wins Best Picture, but this is like a close honestly overtaking it or something. This movie is just amazing, and like I keep saying, I just cannot wait to see what else Robert Eggers gives us. Like as soon as he gave us The Witch, I was like, I want something more. When I got The Lighthouse, I was like, I want to see more. I didn't get to see the Northman. I think it came out in that time when it was like things were still not quite open, so I didn't go see it. I'm gonna watch it as soon as I can, but as soon as this one came out too, I was just like, man, I gotta see Nosferatu. Like, man, it did not disappoint at all. Amazing movie, just stunning. What are your top films from 2024? What films are you looking forward to in 2025? Was Nosferatu everything you wanted from the film? I know for me, it was, as I said. We want to thank you all for listening in. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any personal or fictional, paranormal, supernatural, or unexplainable stories? We'd love to read them on the podcast. Please send your stories, recommendations, or anything else to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to show more support, you can follow our socials on Instagram, Threads, or TikTok @horrorboxpodcast. Also, you can buy me coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It really helps out. Until next time, don't seduce younger women. They just want to sex you till sunrise. This is Dom, signing off from the Horror Box.
During the most irregular dreams, I fear I'm taken ill.
It is a black omen to journey in poor health. You will remain and well rest yourself.
I must object, my lord.
You will obey this my counsel.
But, my lord... Count?